guys today is what we characterize. A lead is not a lead. It's the first mistake we make in real estate sales, Brian. A lead, if I called the buyer, they would not call themselves a lead. You know what they would tell me when they called you today? They were inquiring, either had a question about a house or inquiring how to get access to a house. So you have to earn the right to work with a client. They are not working with you until you help them to feel what, Brian? Understood, I will tell you, is the magic. So your goal is when you get an inquiry is to ask great open-ended questions, Brian, and make them feel understood. If they feel like you understand them and their situation, their backstory, they will work with you. The good news, Brian, is clients, once they feel understood, don't go out looking for other agents to work with because they understand that you could help them because you understand their situation. So the next thing I'll share with you guys is Shauna. Leads come in 3 varieties. And what I'm going to teach you guys today is you don't treat all of these leads or these inquiries more correctly the same way. So I'm going to teach you how to identify where a lead may be in the pipeline, and then how to interact with it a lot more correctly. You're going to have 3 different ways, 3 different sets of questions to ask your clients based on where they are. To remember this more easily, Rochelle, we're going to use the acronym ART, A-R-T, okay? A-R-T, and we'll start at the top of the funnel, guys. So at the top of the funnel, the A stands for what? Aspirational, Rochelle. Rochelle, if I said a lead is aspirational, what do you think that means? How would you describe that lead to the team?
They are they are inspired by something to purchase.
They're not to purchase, they're thinking about it.
I see.
Yeah, aspirational leads, guys, are just thinking they might want to buy or sell a house. They have not decided yet. These leads are the ones that are 91 days to 2 years from making a decision. This would be like a Facebook lead you might get today, or a PPC lead that just signed to our website for the first time. They are aspirational. So Rochelle, if you call that lead and say, hey, are you pre-approved yet? You want to go see a house today? You are totally incongruent and you're going to lose them. So first you've got to figure out where they are. And if they're just starting out, they're aspirational. So Rochelle, you want to take a guess? What's the proper question to ask an aspirational lead different than these if they were further along in the process? We don't ask them LP Mama questions. We shouldn't be asking them if they're pre-approved yet. Want to take a guess on the question?
I'd probably ask them, what is motivating them to get out there and start looking?
Why are you thinking about, that's the question, guys, write it down. If a lead is just getting started with their journey, which they all will log in and click on some button early on, send the lead to you, and you think they're ready to buy a house, Rochelle, and they could be a year or 2 out. And you start telling them about looking at houses today or getting pre-approved, again, you're going to lose them. Hey, so Rochelle, tell me a little bit more about your situation and why you're even thinking about moving to our area or selling your house in our area. And you get to understand them and what has initiated this conversation. So that's the beginning phase. Again, 91 to 2 years before they're ever going to do anything. So the goal here, Rochelle, is to, if they're out further, is to add value, right? To keep in touch with them, maybe send them some, I don't know, school reports and check in with them. Maybe give them some updates on interest rates and check in. Add value while they do their research. Oh. Hold on a second. Yeah, thank you. Perfect, Nazar, on there. So these are our aspirational type leads, Rochelle, that we have coming in on there. Next, so now they're up here, Rochelle. Now they move down a little bit. Now they've actually started to really consider this thing about buying a house. They went from, we think we're going to do it, to, you know what, we're pretty sure we're going to do it, Rochelle. So this is phase 2, guys. This is the R. This is known as the research phase, Rochelle. What behavior change? You want to take a guess, Rochelle? What behavior change do you think we'll see? What's the difference? How do I know someone's is no longer an aspirational and they're in the research phase? What do you think has changed? How will I know that?
I guess they're educating themselves or asking more questions.
Keep going. They're past that point. They're doing
Um,
something different in research that they don't do in aspirational.
they start looking, they're actually, okay.
You nailed it. So I'm going to know they're in the research phase, guys, because they're actually started physically either driving neighborhoods or actually getting into homes with either other agents or open houses, however they do it. This middle phase, the research phase, is going to last 31 to 90 days. In this 31 to 90 days, Michelle, now with our low inventory in COVID, this number may be skewed a little bit, but in general, the average buyer in the US, how many homes do you think they look at, Rochelle, before they buy one? Again, if there's enough inventory.
Right. On average, if there's enough inventory, maybe I want to say a lot in some cases. 10. Okay.
The answer. This is a NAR statistic. The average buyer, to do all their research, right, their due diligence, will look at about 10 homes, give or take. A couple more, a couple less on there during this 31 to 90 day phase. So Rochelle, so two things I can learn. First of all, where they are in their research phase by how many homes they've looked at. So that's the next best question. So Rochelle, oh, you've been out. So how many homes have you seen so far? Right? If the answer is 0, Rochelle, where are they?
Oh, they're still in the aspirational
Right.
phase.
If they give me 1, 2, 5, or 7, they're in the research phase.
Research.
And I can tell where they are in the research phase, right?
Right.
They're coming down the funnel. Every time they see a house, they're learning more. Rochelle, what is the $1 million question? So in aspirational, I ask them, so what got you interested in maybe buying a house or selling yours in the first place, right? Learn the backstory, learn what do you think is the perfect question if you've recognized they're actually looking at houses? Very different question, I will tell you. Best question in the research phase.
Are you prepared to move forward if you find the home of your dreams?
Well, right, they're moving towards that. So here you can start asking those LP Mama questions, qualifying them, figuring about timeline. And so,
right.
No, but that's not I'm looking for the home run question. What's anyone here take a guess? All right, I'll give it to you then. The best question to ask in the research phase is, so Rochelle, you've looked at 6 homes so far. Tell me why none of those were a good fit. Why didn't you buy any? Because here's what I learned, Rochelle, many, many years ago. A buyer never goes out and finds their perfect home right in the beginning.
Right.
Always a process of elimination. So if I know you didn't like this house because
it
needed too much work, this one didn't have a big enough yard, this one, I don't know, was not pet friendly, whatever the case may be, right? I've known what you've eliminated because we don't usually ask this question, Rochelle. And let me give you my example. So before I moved to Las Vegas, actually, Rochelle, I told my realtor what? We were doing our research in the research phase, and we've come to the conclusion, excuse me, we wanted a single-story home, not a 2-story home. Right now, I told them that. Well, you guys are going to ask that. Let me tell you why this is so important. Rochelle, have you ever been to Vegas? Have you seen Vegas homes?
Yes.
Almost all of them, lose my voice, are 2-story here. So if I didn't share that, or if he didn't ask the question, what we eliminated, know what I would see in my inbox every day? A whole bunch of 2-story homes. Would I feel like Matt understood what Lisa and I were trying to accomplish? Heck no. This is why it's an important question. You're going to find out what they've eliminated, Rochelle, and then we eliminate that so we don't keep sending them because will they feel understood, sending them properties they've eliminated? No. So step 2 is to figured out what they've eliminated so you can help them refine their search to figure out what they're going to eventually buy. Next question, Rochelle. While they're in the research phase, guess how many agents they'll be communicating with?
And the research, I mean, it could be multiple.
Yeah, it will be. It's a narcissistic again. The answer is same as the homes, up to 10 agents. Guys, you know what this means? When you say, hey, Rochelle, I'm going to set you up on a search, and you think it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, you'd be surprised. They're already getting those properties from other 5, 6, 7 other agents already. So it's not that proprietary. And should you still do it? Absolutely. But realize they're getting a lot of information from a bunch of other agents already, Rochelle, right? On there. So you've got to, again, why you've got to learn to connect with them better, build more rapport. The whole conversation on trust I gave you, right? Super important because they are talking to Rochelle, every time they click a button or go to an open house, right? Leave their number, email address. That agent's calling them and doing what you guys are doing. Hey, I'm gonna put you on a search. So search, just so you know, is okay, but it's not your number one tool by any stretch of the imagination anymore. Okay, Rochelle, you're doing good. We're now aspirational, right? Again, 91 to 2 years, and they slide down to research where they're going to look at 10 homes here, right? Possibly bumping into 10 different agents. And we're going to ask them here, what got you started in looking for a home in the first place? Learn their backstory. Here, I'm going to find out, since you've been looking at houses, what have you eliminated already on there, right? So I can help you find the right house in the right neighborhood. Rochelle, take me down to the final step. This is called the transactional phase, guys. This is the last 30 days. So they've looked at a whole bunch of homes. What are they doing here, Rochelle, that they probably weren't doing in the first 2 phases? So I'll know that they're in this group now.
That probably got more serious. So maybe got pre-approved with the lender, or at least is open to that.
Yeah, that should have happened in research, but yeah, that will, if it didn't, yeah, definitely by now. But what's the behavior change? So I told you here, they're not looking at.
I mean, they're more available to go look at homes with you, and
that's here. Yep. So they're doing something.
They're ready to write offers.
Ah, you nailed it. They're ready to write offers. That's what I'm saying. They're probably pre-approved. They probably looked at a bunch of houses, but they've done some research and they've narrowed it down to this little neighborhood, right? They kind of know the price point now after seeing what they get for their money in today's crazy market, and they're ready to write offers.
Got it.
So this phase is usually the last 30 days, right? They're just getting in, maybe they lose a bidding war once and they go to another one, but usually takes about 30 days to nail it down, give or take. Rochelle, what is the $1 million question we're going to ask in the research phase to help them finalize this transaction?
So we're back in the research stage.
We went to research and now we went down to transactional.
And then you said, but in the research stage, what is the $1 million question?
The $1 million question in research was, what have you eliminated? So out of the homes you've seen,
right,
why weren't they an option? So now I'm in transactional.
Okay, so you're saying the $1 million question in transactional.
Yeah, the $1 million question here is a little bit different.
Well, are you ready to write an offer?
Yes.
After we see the home.
Yeah, so say yes. So I answered yes. But
then we're going to write the offer. So the $1 million question after that?
Yeah, before you get to that, there's a question we want to ask to really identify the right house and the right neighborhood. I'll give you a hint.
Give me a hint.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, go ahead. I heard something. Go ahead.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank this home?
You're on the right track, Peter. So Rochelle, so you've eliminated these homes, right? So a couple of these may be an option. The question is, opposite of research, what did you eliminate? Now, what specifically?
What do you like about the home?
What specifically did you like, or what specifically is most important to you
in this home? Yeah.
But if you know what they've eliminated and you know that one
right
that's most important, you have a sale. Here's the interesting part, because I'll use Lisa and I as an example. If you learn the one thing, everything else they told you, right, up earlier could change. This is how important this question is, Rochelle. If you nail the one thing, I'm telling you, almost everything else they told you is negotiable. Lisa and I are byproducts of that. What did I tell you, Rochelle, was the type of house I only wanted Matt to send me that we would only be open to buy?
Single story.
Right. Would you be surprised to know, Lisa and I live in a 2-story, not even a house, a townhome.
Interesting.
Why? Because our number one factor wasn't the stairs or 2 stories. The number one quality for us was lifestyle, proximity to the things that we want. So across the street from my house here is our gym, our Pilates, our yoga, our 3 or 4 great restaurants, like a spa, like you name it, Whole Foods. I literally, Rochelle, can walk across the street in almost anything. My hair cutter, Lisa's nail girl, literally across the street.
Nice.
If you learn the one thing, guys, I'll give you another example with clients. Rochelle, I get a client. They said, my wife really likes to cook and bake, and it's really important that we get a house with a really, really nice kitchen. But, we have some kids, so we don't want the road to be too busy, right? And yada, yada, yada. If I find a house, Rochelle, with a gorgeous kitchen, I've heard this many times in my career. I look at the kitchen, they're like, oh my gosh, you nailed it, Mike. We love the kitchen. But I say, Rochelle, it's on a double yellow line road. That means it's probably going to be pretty busy around here. You said you wanted to be on a quiet street. Oh, Mike, we're familiar with this street. It's busy, but it's not that busy. And what they do is they justify. They justify. What did I say when I bought this house, Rochelle? Well, I'm still kind of young. The stairs aren't that bad.
Yeah.
Justify to get the most important thing. So you got to figure out the most important thing.
Got it.
And everything else, even though they give you that laundry list, I need this, I need that. And the other thing I will tell you will go out the window totally on there. I'll give you my California story. So my thing there was my budget. Moving from Long Island to Southern California, I didn't want to spend a ton of money, Rochelle, right? But my number one quality in California, coming from Long Island, was privacy. If you guys don't know, in Long Island, all my houses there, Rochelle, acre, half acre, right? The houses are spread apart, a lot of trees. I went to Southern California and these houses were like next to each other. I could actually smell the neighbor cooking. I was like, whoa, I just want privacy. So in Cal Heights there, my realtor found one house that had giant trees and bushes and everything where you can't see the neighbors. I was like, oh, this is the house. But I'll just be totally transparent with you guys. That house was $250,000 more than I was planning on spending. But did I find the money, Rochelle? Yes, because privacy for that house was my most important thing. So I even expanded my budget considerably to get the one thing. The one thing is super important. You guys have to learn about. Rochelle, remember I told you there's 10 agents here that were sending me properties? When you get to transactional, guess what? They're going to whittle that list down to 1 or 2 agents that they're going to use to write the offer. Do you know what are the 3 top criteria they're using to eliminate the other 8, 9 agents from the equation?
I would say your availability.
Yes. So I'm going to say availability, or I'm going to use a different word here, responsiveness.
There you go. Yeah.
If you are slow to respond, you're slow to get back to them. It could be getting back to them, right, to show a house or whatever. You will be eliminated very quickly. When your client reaches out, you've got to be very responsive. Rochelle, how long will a new lead wait for an agent to call them back to go see a property today?
Oh, I not very long at all. Maybe 5 minutes at most, but it's
At
not.
most 5 minutes. What about a buyer I've been working with for a little bit, and they happen to see a new listing that came on the market this morning, and they would like to go see that sometime in the near future. How long will they wait?
I mean, a minute or 2.
Well, a little longer. I think if they're working with you, they'll give you a little pass. Right?
Oh, if you were working with them.
Yeah, but still, even if you're working with them, Crystal, you're working with the lead. You think they're your buyer, right? Because the buyer doesn't have this possessiveness. Oh, my buyer. They're not your buyer. I'm going to give you the bad news, because Crystal, if you don't get back to them and their anxiety starts to rise because this is the house and they love it and they're afraid of losing it because it's the only house that's come up that really they liked, they will call the listing agent in a heartbeat if you don't get back to them. Even though you've showed them 100 houses and they said they're going to work with you, Crystal, if you don't get back to them quickly, they will call another agent, or most likely the listing agent, very soon. So responsive, Rochelle, number one. Give me number two. Who are they picking out of the 10? Or
Who
eliminating?
seems informed.
Yes, I have it on my list as super knowledgeable.
Yeah.
Guys, unfortunately, your clients have a little friend named Google. There's a ton of information on there. They're doing a lot of their research on there, and they're learning a lot as we keep adding more pages on there. Rochelle, I taught this technique to the team, I think a few calls back. I purposely share 3 knowledge bombs with my new lead every time I talk to them or meet with them on topics I know they don't know the answers to prove to them I'm more knowledgeable about real estate
Right.
than they are. You've got to be more knowledgeable, because if you're equal or less, they don't need you at all. So you've got to know the inventory, Rochelle. These agents have to read the hot sheet every day and know about everything that's going on. They've got to keep their finger on the pulse of these interest rates while they're changing and the markets. They've got to watch the news, because the news is constantly reporting things inaccurately. And if they think foreclosures are coming as an example, right, you've got to be smart of them. No, let me tell you why that's misinformation and what's really happening. You've got to be super knowledgeable, not just knowledgeable. I say super because you got to be smarter than Google, literally, not even figuratively. You've got to know more than them about our space. So good. Third one.
Responsive, knowledgeable, and
Actually the easiest one.
likable.
Yeah, so go, what's above like though? No, like,
Love.
no, close, trust.
Wait, trust. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you were newer to sales, guys.
They gotta trust you.
Right. If you're newer to sales, let me explain something to you. If you didn't hear this before. In order to get anyone to work with anyone on this call today, they first have to know you, and then they will begin to like you, and then trust you. If you don't get them up here to trust, if you're not trustworthy in their eyes, you will never be chosen to write the offer, I promise you. So that's why I did that class last week on how to build trust. That's the number one thing. Trust, right? Then you're more knowledgeable, and then you're always responsive, and you will be the agent out of the 10. You will win. If you're failing any of those 3, they'll pick someone else to be the person that they're gonna do business with on there. Let me explain. Actually, I came up with this interesting analogy, Rochelle, on how our agents should act and communicate with their clients the way another profession does. I made this, I don't know, sometimes things come to my head, Rochelle, I don't know why, but I think this makes total sense. You know what the other profession is, Rochelle? It's a doctor. I think doctors went to script school, Rochelle. You know why? They follow what I just taught you guys. What happens, Rochelle, when you go to a doctor? What's the first question they always ask you? Hey, Rochelle, what brought you into the office today?
Right.
Does that sound like what has you interested in a house? Yes. Rochelle, so tell me a little bit more about your situation. How long have you been feeling like this? What else? Right? Oh, how long have you been looking? What houses have you seen before? Oh, what hurts? What don't you like in the houses that you've seen? It's an exact parallel, guys. It's just like a doctor's appointment. Rochelle, and then after they ask you a bunch of questions about this hurts, that hurts, and everything else, right? What do they do then? After they ask you a lot of questions to learn your situation, so they understand your situation, Rochelle, they then give you a recommendation, right? Of here, take these pills, or, go get a whatever, right? And you feel very comfortable, Rochelle, that they gave you the right information. Let me explain to you guys, when you don't act like a doctor and you don't ask them about why they're looking for a house and what they've eliminated, you come across as a used car salesman. And here's the parallel, Michelle. Tell me how you would feel if you went to the doctor today and he didn't ask you how long you've been feeling like this, what hurt, and he just looked at you, Rochelle, and said, oh, here, take these 2 pills. Let me know if they work. No questions. How would you feel about that, Rochelle?
No, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking those pills.
No. How do our clients, our buyers feel when we don't ask them a lot of questions about their situation, what they're trying to accomplish, what they eliminated, and we're like, oh yeah, you better buy this house. The market's really hot. And if you don't write an offer today, you're probably going to lose it. Not good. Not good at all, guys. So think about yourselves more as at that doctor's office and you're going through those series of questions. That's how you build rapport.
To
and trust.
diagnose.
Right. Because then when you say you should buy this house, they believe that you're giving them advice based on the information they provided you as solid advice. Otherwise, you sound like you have commission breath, right? How can you advise I should buy this house, Rochelle? You didn't ask me enough questions to know if I should or not. You didn't ask me what I eliminated. You didn't ask what I like best, right? And why this was important to me. Super important to get that right, because that will build trust, Rochelle, asking those questions, right? You'll feel like a professional, just like the doctor. If you don't, you'll be on the bottom like the used car salesman that, right, just takes you right to the car and say, hey, what do you think? Right? It's a beauty, right? And then no bueno on there. I'll give you another parallel if you want. What I'm helping you guys to do is equivalent to the 12 steps of intimacy, if anyone's familiar with those. And here are those. Is if I met someone today, Rochelle, would it be appropriate to say, hey, you want to hook up? No, that's not going to work out too well for me. So if you guys don't know the 12 steps of intimacy, the first thing that happens is you make eye contact with someone's body. And if your eyes like that, oh, you go step 2, and you will then go make eye contact, eye to eye. That's a stronger level of connection. If that goes well, Rochelle, we will start talking and we'll have a conversation, right? If that goes well and we like each other, we might start holding hands, right? If that goes well, that might lead to a hug, which might lead to a kiss, which might lead to me, I don't know, rubbing your head, your hair. These are all little increments of building rapport and trust in a relationship. You need to do very similar, right? You work your lead the same way. You build rapport, right? You build a relationship with them little by little, the same way you would at the doctor's office, or if you're in a relationship. Very, very similar on there. Any questions, thoughts, feedback? This is how it really works. If you have one question to ask all your clients, you're going to be asking them the wrong question 2/3 of the time, I will tell you on there. You've got to, and get Nazar.
What's interesting is that, when we talk to somebody, back when I started real estate, you'd only meet someone when they're in that final state, right? When they're looking at properties and they're serious.
Yep.
Now we have that lead. We're able to capture that lead well earlier on in the process. And so when you call them and you ask them those questions and they dog you and they ignore you, it's not because they're not interested. They're just in that aspirational stage.
Yeah, it's a wrong question at the wrong time is what is happening. Yeah.
Right. So you want to be able to ask the questions that are going to allow you to be able to help them. Because sometimes, in an aspirational stage, they might say, gosh, I might be interested in moving to Eastvale. I live in Irvine. I might be interested in moving to Eastvale or Temecula or out of state, right? Like I'm looking at all my options. And so I'm looking at these areas and getting feedback and information. I don't even know what state I want to live in or what city I want to live in. So
they don't. Yeah, they're doing their reason. And let me share with you to help you guys to actually close these deals. Everyone moves for the same reason. I think I may have mentioned this on a previous call. Anybody remember? All of your buyers, right, and your sellers for that matter as well. I've studied this. I've learned they all are moving for almost the same exact reason. Does anyone know the reason?
lifestyle change.
Yeah, this lifestyle. So a renter wants to be a first-time home buyer. A baby boomer is downsizing to something smaller so they could travel more, spend more time with the kids, right? Someone who got a big raise, moving into a nicer, bigger development or something along those. It's always, what was my reason? Lifestyle. I want to be close to all the things because time is my most important commodity. So I love being close to everything I need. That's why we bought this house. I will tell you on there. So if you could figure out, so one of the, Nazar, when I meet someone, some of the first questions I ask them, like, so tell me about yourselves a little bit. Do you guys like to hike? Are you guys more like going shopping, right? Outdoor activities versus indoor activities, right? Where do you spend your spare time? Because then I will find real estate that meets their lifestyle needs or close to that much better, right? Because everyone is moving for that reason. If you figure out what the lifestyle need is, and you match up the house, you will cut the learning curve like probably in half. Let me give you one more ism, just so you know. So inquiries in the US, the number is going to change this year. I'm going back about 2 years, so it'll be a little bit bigger, but still same ratio. How many leads do you think are generated in the US every year? 100 million. How many sales do we have? Both sides, roughly, I'm rounding 10 million. So guys, you also have to put in perspective, not every person that pushes a button or puts an inquiry in is going to be a sale. There's a 10% rule here. 90% of the people that inquire never buy. So I'm always careful too to find out, right? Is there some real intention here? Do they really want to buy? Or are they going to follow through? Because I've had a few clients, well, I've been working with this buyer for 9 months, right? I've shown him 70 houses already. Like, cut your losses, dude. You could have sold so many more houses in that same time period. So first you've got to really identify, do you have someone who's first really going to buy? Because we get 100 million inquiries and only 10 million sales. So there, as these companies everyone's trying to put their hooks in the waters to send you referrals, right? It's the same people. They go to realtor.com, then they go to Zillow, and both of them are trying to sell you the lead at the same time. It's the same human, but you can only sell them one house. So keep that in mind as well. Only 10% of all leads convert on there. Any other questions? All right, there you got it. So think about it, right? Find out where they are before you start trying to close them or go shopping today, because they may be 6 months, a year or two from doing that, and you'll be out of rapport with them quickly. If you understand their situation and asking the right questions at the right time, at the right phase in today's call, you will be wildly connected to them because they will feel understood and you got a client that will stick with you. So I will leave you with that. If you guys need help with this, obviously reach out, but this is good stuff here, especially with this wonkiness that's going on with all of our economy and the real estate market. So talk to you guys next week. If you need anything, reach out to me. Otherwise, practice this. It works well. Thanks, Brian. Rochelle, thanks for all the participation today. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.